Good morning, boys. Welcome to June. I'm happy to see you this morning. Were we all together, we would sing hymn 61. That's the one that begins, "As pants the heart for cooling streams, so heated in the chase. So longs my soul, my God, for thee, and thy refreshing grace." It's a lovely hymn. Can you hear it? Boys, I had to think a fair bit before recording this video. And, well, my heart is troubled. Not heart as in the heart mentioned in this hymn. That's H-A-R-T, right? I'm talking about heart as in here. My heart is troubled, as are, I think, any Americans right now, because the country is not well. Any country would be tested by the horrible epidemic that it has been suffering, but to have this epidemic and now to have these incredible riots across the country, well, it's awful. There's no other way to put it. It is awful. It does not matter where you stand. This is a sad situation. The country has not seen anything like this in urban areas, its cities, since Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. I think the best thing I read or heard over the weekend about what was going on came from a rapper, of all people. Yes, a rapper in Atlanta, and his name is Michael Render. I think I will just read you some of Michael Render's remarks. This is what Mr. Render had to say. He got out in front of a bunch of cameras, and he said, "I didn't want to come, and I don't want to be here. I'm the son of an Atlanta City police officer. My cousin is an Atlanta City police officer, and my other cousin, a police officer. I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that, even after becoming police, had to dress in a YMCA because white officers didn't want to get dressed with blacks. And here we are, 80 years later. I watched a white officer assassinate a black man, and I know that tore your heart out. I know it's crippling, and I have nothing positive to say in this moment because I don't want to be here. But I'm responsible to be here because it wasn't just Dr. King and people dressed nicely who marched and protested to progress this city and so many other cities. It was people like my grandmother, people like my aunts and uncles, who are members of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the NAACP. I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn down your own house for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. Now is the time to plot, to plan, to strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect. We're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I know you've heard this before from your headmaster, boys, but it bears repeating. You are the future of this country. This country will rise or fall because of you. and other people your age. This is something to think about. All right. Let us move on to happier things, shall we, boys? It's a happy time of the year, at least. It should be in your hearts, given that it's June, and you don't have to suffer much more of me, at least. All right, in the first place, we had some birthdays in the middle school over the last few days. On Friday, it was Arjun Roberts and Silas Warren's birthday in the 5th grade, their classmates. And on Saturday, it was Hunter McDougall's birthday in the 4th grade. So, happy belated birthday, boys. Boy wrote me yesterday, and he said, "Sir, do we have to do journals over the summer?" And here is my response to that boy, and it's my response to all of you. The answer is no, you don't. Having said that, I hope you will continue keeping a journal, if not every day, often. It's very, very good practice, boys. It's a great practice to write down your thoughts, and it's good for now, and it is absolute gold for the future. You're just going to have to take my word for it that it will give you an enormous thrill of pleasure and nostalgia and happiness and just general wonder in 5, 10, 50 years to be able to look at your work. Now, speaking of journals, I said to you when we started keeping them 2 months ago that if any of you wrote something that you thought was especially good, you could share it with me. Offer still stands through this week. If you thought you wrote something good, it doesn't have to be serious, it could be funny, it could be anything. It's what you've been thinking about. Send it to me, and if I think it's pretty good, which I bet I will, I can read it for assembly. Now, if you're thinking, whoa, I don't want anyone to know who wrote that, that's fine. I could say it's anonymous, right? A boy sent this in, right? But please, think about it. And boys, to go back to a point you've heard me say before, you can push yourself in your journals. You don't have to write about your cereal followed by the fact you sat and just did nothing. There's a lot of stuff happening in your heads right now. I will send a few more prompts later, or perhaps as part of this message, to get you thinking. All right? You've had a lot of practice doing this now. It may be time to push yourself, especially with the thought of not having to do it, or having to do it for much longer. All right? Okay. That is quite enough for me. I've gone on too long as is. I hope you have a lovely day. And now, to work.